In the leafy suburbs of Eastbourne, two families are preparing to take part in an educational experience. Our first family, Mum Diane, Dad Robin, and 15-year-old Amy, who struggles with literacy. On the other side of town, our second family, Mum Helen, Dad Lindsay, and 15-year-old Richard, who has a problem with motivation. Both families have one thing in common. They haven't a clue what their Key Stage 4 children do at school.
Now look, gold and silver often do not need to be extractive, they occur native.
She's looking and saying, what is...
Yeah, and it seems...
What is he talking about?
Yeah.
If you asked me to choose the lesson I'd least like to teach children who are not of high ability, I would probably pick chemistry. Yes. Because it is, you can't get away from that, the weight of content that goes into chemistry.
Can you do that now?
I don't get it. How do you know what the...
So we have that sheet we had last time.
What one's that?
The one where we had all like the...
Sir.
You don't need it, you've got it there. That's the reactivity series there.
She's just put her
said,
hand up and said, I don't understand. So... And he's now pointing at a written piece of work and saying, you've got it there. And
but
he's
Amy
now talking
asked,
to someone else.
Amy asked for help, yeah. And somebody else is getting the help. But if he obviously hasn't realised the whole class is confused.
She's getting a bit annoyed now.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that look.
Yeah.
She's getting very fed up now.
You do need to think about it.
There's no else, unless PD's man.
Well, PD could possibly be an It could possibly be naturally.
She's been quite negative,
Yeah,
though.
very negative.
Yeah, she's not... You won't help me, but now he is. She's not looking as if she's willing to learn.
Right. That is above carbon, it's up there. Do you remember I told you that? OK, so that's extracted by electrolysis.
PD is...
Thinking strategically about the child, Amy's thinking I might be a beauty therapist. Will I be using mineral extraction skills much? No.
Yeah.
That is one of the
something...
problems when they have to do so many subjects and everything. It's...
Quite often that's a comment from Amy, why do I have to learn that?
If it's not relevant, it's got to be fun. Or at least enjoyable.
The reactivity of the metal determines the method of extraction. That means that if it's very reactive, you're going to need to use a lot of energy to actually get it out, to get it away from that rock.
You see, actually the amount of help I would estimate Amy needs at this moment of time, one-to-one, is about an hour. Mm-hmm. Because I think for Amy to understand this topic, she'd really need to start at the beginning and work through it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. She has no support in science. There's no teaching assistant in that class.
No. It's not a small class either.
No.
No.
It's very, very difficult to actually know when somebody has actually gone as far as they can in the lesson. So, I mean, with somebody like Amy, what I would do, that would be noted down, and it was obvious that she was struggling with certain aspects of it. So we would actually cover that again when the rest of the class was perhaps engaged in something else, in a later lesson. So anything that she did miss would be picked up on, and we would cover it again.
Thankfully for Amy, it's time to leave the lab and catch up with the girls. Now a chance for Richard's parents to see if he performs as well in the classroom as he does on the pitch.
Please come and sit down.
Thank you.
Good to see you again.
And you?
And I think Richard's just about to go into maths, so let's see how he gets on.
Yeah, the fly
At
on
last,
the wall.
the truth will be revealed.
Yeah? Yeah. So, do we have to work out...
Don't worry about using more paper.
Have we got to work out a relationship between those different numbers there?
That's the idea.
So, actually, Richard did know, but he wasn't confident in his knowledge.
No, because he checked it out.
Is he a careful lad, generally, in his work?
No. He takes shortcuts, doesn't check his work.
Ah. Well, he was checking his what he should do there, but he...
Yeah.
Fascinating to see him in action, because I never get to see in the classroom. It's fascinating to watch.
That was the teacher going out there. Always an interesting moment in a class.
You got to come Heathers with me as well, dude.
They're talking about girls.
It's unusual. That age.
And go-karting.
Might make it 4x and then that'll be full-time shape.
If I had to put money on it, I'd say right now, he thinks he understands, but if he gets it wrong, he knows he's going to have to do it again anyway. So he's going to have a chat with his mate, particularly because the teacher's out of the room and can't help him. And when he can get some more help and can do it, then I think we will see him do it.
Yeah, I can remember it's only still 4 in.
Now the three of them are working together, the teacher and the two boys. And actually the teacher's very quiet, letting the two boys do what they were doing actually when he was not there, which is sort it out between themselves, learn for themselves, which I think is very good. But he's there, if they do get it wrong at that point, he's bound to step in. And I'm sure he'll give them confirmation when they've got it all right and they can carry on.
Maybe you're just supposed to do them ones.
Oh, look.
Maybe you're just supposed to do them.
Was he helping Johnny?
Yeah, so now it's switched round, isn't
They're
it?
collaborating, aren't they? And he's suggesting solutions, isn't he?
Now he's got his confidence up and he's able to follow his thoughts through.
Flying, yeah.
And then E equals N will be neck shape.
I would say there that I didn't see evidence of underachievement and I didn't see evidence that Richard was coasting. I just saw evidence of a sort of fairly normal learning process, which actually had a good outcome, largely, or at least partly due to good teaching.
So far, so good. But how will Richard fare in English?
So, attention, concentration, and focus, please, everybody.
Who's that other adult?
She's a signer. There must be a child with hearing impairment.
That it was the women who led the revolt against the British, because we're going to find out quite a lot about the position of women in...
Back at the class again.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I mean, it is, in terms of layout, it's the most powerful place in the class for a student to be, because the teacher can't get behind them. And they're furthest from the teacher, so... I might say something about Richard's sense of independence.
Good. Kia, what's the matter? Oh, for goodness sake, how can you survive? How can you get through a day without a pen?
The usual thing. Children without pens. That can be a major problem in many classes. If half a dozen children in every class say they haven't got a pen, then you're handing out 20 pens a day. I mean, you just can't do it.
So after that rather lengthy introduction...
He does look a bit fed up, doesn't he?
Do you think he's completely switched off from the teacher's voice there?
Well, not as much as that kid has.
No.
See?
We're now talking about something else now. Is that loud?
Who's that cheeky chappy? He's chewing gum as well, I'm sure he is.
Who, Richard?
No, the boy next to him.
See how many more notes you can take in the last 10 minutes. Off you go.
It reminds me quite a lot of the maths lesson, in as much as here you have 3 students working together, helping each other, and the teacher helping the whole class, and the teacher not objecting to this.
No.
But the key thing about it, I think, being that the volume level from those 3 children is very low. I mean, you can see they're not really talking very much, they're just ready to help each other almost.
But I mean, collaboration is recognised as a good way of learning now, isn't it?
The conversation between Okonkwo's father and the man who comes to see him is a bit like the conversation between who? Richard?
The headmaster and the elder.
Yeah, the headmaster and the elder.
Like in the maths lesson, he was taking a leading part in the little group that was working together. Of the 3 of them that were working together, when they needed separate clarification, it was Richard put his hand up and asked for it. You know. And maybe that's part of him in school, that he needs to know what the task is, or
Or the others just leave it to him because they know he will find out the information for them.
Maybe. But either way, he's actually making sure he understands what's expected
Yeah.
of him.
2 down, 1 to go. It's media studies. Can Richard get a hat-trick of good performances?
You do not have first drafts of completed sci-fi and soap assignments in their folders by tomorrow lunchtime. That's tomorrow lunchtime. Will attend catch-up sessions every Wednesday from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock until the work is completed with Miss Amos.
That's daring, and they liked it.
And then what you do is you pick 4 technical conventions. So the use of editing, the use of lighting, the use of camera shots.
So she's making sure he knows what's on that sheet.
Very clear, succinct explanation.
So he's reading it and hearing it. This is good practice. Again, read it, hear it, do it, watch it. The more different ways you approach it, the more it sticks. I suspect that is almost the sort of the perfect scenario for Richard, where he gets very specific steps, very clearly set out, and then is left alone to work independently, which meets his need to be a very independent young man, because he recognises that when people can do things without help, then they've really mastered them.
Now, I would get rid of, though, the bit about a press conference, because when newspapers give us information, when they go to tell us their stories, they don't like to admit that other members of the press were there. Yeah? So at least in a report it might be better, because then it seems more exclusive, more at the Times is on the ball. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay.
But she's making it interesting for him. She's explaining why she's taking that sentence out, isn't she?
The Executive Director of the Halifax Building Society released in a press conference yesterday that UK house prices are falling rapidly. Excellent, I like that. Mr Dearby announced that prices have fallen by 10% in the last month. Now, it's perfectly okay to repeat what you've said here, because what you're doing is giving more information.
I thought that was brilliant. She used the word excellent.
Yeah, she was
when she commented about something that Rich said, and you could see him grow there. I mean, we all like praise, but that's a lovely word to use.
Well, Richard is very personable. He's also good at communicating orally. He tends to listen well, and he is keen to do well. He is quite well motivated. And if you can harness those factors in him, then he's somebody who wants to achieve his very best. I suppose his weaknesses are that, well, he's 15 and he has other things on his mind.
As the students head home, it's time for the parents to reflect on their observations.
It was nice to see that she's not distracted and following the behaviour maybe of others around her. And quite nice to see that she's actually coping and you know, a few of the lessons that we've seen, she's coping quite well with them. And I would like to think that in the lesson where she maybe didn't cope, that we would be able to talk to the teacher about that and maybe make things better for her in there.
Yeah, I thought it was fascinating, and it was great to see Rich with his peers, seemingly learning. You know, and I did see some really good practice, and that was, you know, heartening to see, really.
So can you think of one thing you might do differently as a parent?
Read over her homework with her a bit more when it comes to homework tasks. And I think...
That's 2.
Maybe read her body language a bit more, because watching her like that from sort of an outside point of view, there were things she was doing that told us what was going on in her mind, I think, which is quite interesting.
Helen?
Because it's his final chance before he leaves school. It's a very important year.
And it's very different to when we were at school.
Oh yeah,
I think,
exactly.
You know, the sort of level that they're learning at is much higher now.
The very close link between what you're asking the child to do in terms of learning and what sort of behaviour you get as a class, and the importance of making those things match and really addressing the issue of different levels of ability in the same class.
Yes.
Well, we spent a day at school and we've all learnt a lot, and I think we could all do with a drink. So let's go down the pub.
Good idea.
Let's go.